So I told myself that I was going to do Vlogmas this year because every year in November, I think to myself, wouldn't it be lovely to have a YouTube channel? And then I never do anything about it. And so I told myself I was going to do it. And of course, I got sick and I lost my voice. So that gave me an excuse not to do it because, yeah, I didn't really want to do it. But I do, but I don't, but I do, but I don't. And then I'm moving my office to a different room, and so my office isn't set up. So that gave me yet another excuse not to do it. You can see the shadow of my cat McGonagall on the wall behind me. Um, but I decided today to just do it because if I keep giving myself excuses, then I'm never going to actually start. So, hello, my name's Charlie, and I write under the name C.E. Dorsett, which is my actual initials. I am a transgender writer. I'm queer. I am a non-binary femme, and I am going to be doing the AuthorTube Newbie Tag 2.0 by Jenna Streety because I figured that would be the best way to introduce myself and to start making videos. So, hi. Okay, so question number 1. What's your book pitch? Okay, so I have quite a few books that are out. My newest series, Mask of the Gods, book 1 is Crucify My Love. Nobu is a thornkin who has the power to heal other people, but when he does, he takes their pain into himself, and thorns erupt from his body as he takes the pain away from others. While he is visiting the sleepy village of Sans, he finds out that the days of the dead are approaching. An alluring imperial agent stirs deep feelings within him as the dead arise from the grave to torment and kill the living. Shinobu swears that he will do anything in his power to save them, but how can he save the innocent when the dead stalk the village without remorse or weakness? What will he have to sacrifice to save them from the days of the dead, his beloved, his heart, or his life? I love this book. I love this book, and I love this series so much. I've actually written all 3 books in the series, and I'm currently, finishing the writing on book 3, but it's basically done. Okay, question number 2. If you were a book, how would you pitch yourself? Hi, my name's Charlie, and I'm a mess. Everything that I do is a mess because I have crazy thoughts that go through my head. I love fantasy, and my life is basically a Lovecraft novel. My life is weird. My life is messed up. Yeah. Okay. Question number 3. What do you usually write? I like to write what I call gothic fiction. I am gothic at heart. I grew up in the goth subculture. I love gothic music. I love gothic movies. I love gothic novels. But the easier way to understand that is I write fantasy and science fiction using the Kisho Tenketsu method of writing, which is much more like what you find in anime than what you find in most Western literature. I tell stories and hope that other people like them. I have an urban fantasy series that's currently ongoing. I have a dark fantasy series that I'm currently doing. And because my readers and podcast listeners asked me to, I'm working on a space opera right now. Because question number 4. What is something you'll never write? Probably historical fiction, literary fiction, something like that. It's not that I necessarily like to have a certain level of escapism in my stories. It's more that I like to play in imaginal settings. I love world building. World building is like my favorite thing. And so, like, even my urban fantasy, I have this complete alternative history for the world that I wrote for it. And it's like my favorite thing. So basically, any genre that would not require me to do world building, but I could see myself writing mystery and romance and even thriller if the mood hit me right. And yeah, but there would have to be world building. If there's not world building, I probably wouldn't do it. Question number 5. What's your goal for starting an AuthorTube channel? This is a hard one. I want to connect to other people, other readers, other writers, And I have gotten so much out of AuthorTube over the last year that I just want to be a part of the community and I want to try to give back. It's been really tricky for me where I live out in America's heartland to connect to people. And like I said, every November I get this urge to start a YouTube channel and I never do it. So I'm trying to do it this year. Number 6, what made you start to write? I grew up out in the middle of nowhere. I literally grew up on a dirt road, and I think the closest neighbor kid was like 12 miles away. They were quite a distance. So when I grew up, it was just me and my dog, and we would literally go around and have adventures out in the woods behind the house because I grew up in the 1800s. It feels like, I mean, I learned how to cook on a Franklin pot-bellied wood stove. And so I really had my imagination, and that was about it. And I told stories. I remember writing my first comics when I was a little kid and drawing them out and telling stories about the characters that I loved at the time, be it the Transformers or He-Man or any of that. When I think about what actually made me want to be a writer, I think it was when I was in 5th grade and we started reading The Hobbit. And our teacher explained how J.R.R. Tolkien got the idea for The Hobbit. That he was grading papers one night and this idea just popped into his head, in a hole there lived a hobbit. And he jotted it down and eventually started writing it. And before that, I didn't really think about where books came from. They were just like these magical things that happened. And all of a sudden I realized, oh, wait, people write these? Like people just like get an idea and they write a book? I am going to write a book. Kind of a combination of the two things. I've always been a very creative person. I've always, spent a lot of time with my imagination and whatnot. But yeah, I was probably learning about Tolkien. Number 7, what's your publishing path? I am a self-published author. I like having control over my own work. I write very queer fiction. Oddly enough, as much as I write about queer characters, heterosexual cisgendered women are, at least when I go to a convention or something, the people that come up to me and tell me about how much they like my book, for the most part. I want to see people like me in fiction, and so I write about a lot of queer characters, and I write about a lot of trans characters and a lot of non-binary characters. That's easier to do just being self-published. At least I found over the years. Number 8. What content do you bring to the AuthorTube table? I've been a podcaster for an extremely long period of time. I do the podcast Project Shadow, which you can find on pretty much every thing that will host a podcast. Mostly, I think what I bring is just me, my voice. I'm sure there are a lot of queer AuthorTubers out there that I don't know about. And if you know of some, please put them in the comments. I would love to follow them. But off the top of my head, I can only think of Kevlandia. And I'm sure there are more. I want there to be a very strong, out loud, queer, non-binary voice in AuthorTube, and that's gonna be me, especially when my voice comes back, which hopefully will be soon. Okay, so question number 9. What's your biggest writing struggle? I don't think I've ever really had a struggle with the writing or the editing or anything like that. I think my biggest struggle has actually been with my anxiety and my depression, and how those have, over the years, prevented me from actually getting any writing done. Over the years, I have struggled with depression and anxiety, especially before I realized why I had them. I've been doing better since I figured out why. Being non-binary is a thing that my generation just didn't know about. So it took me a long time to understand what that term meant and to realize that, that's me. And just doubting myself and the stories that I want to tell. I think that all kind of goes together and has really prevented me from telling the stories that I want to tell over the years. And over the last couple of years, that's something that I just kind of got over, and I'm telling the stories that I want to tell because I like them, and I'm hoping that other people will like them too. Number 10. What's your best writing skill? My best writing skill. Well, if you would ask my sister tends to say that she feels that when I describe a location or something, she really feels like she's there. I don't know if I would consider that my best writing skill, because again, this goes into the whole depression and anxiety thing. I don't really think about anything that I do in terms of best. I need to work on that. If I had to pick one skill that I thought that I was best at, it's coming up with odd stories. Most of the storylines that I come up with are a bit different. I have a very different point of view on a lot of things than a lot of people do. That odd point of view and perspective, I think, is what, I think that's my best skill. If you're new to AuthorTube, what is your biggest AuthorTube question? How in the world to do this? I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know what I'm doing at all. So any hints, tips would be wonderful. Any suggestions for videos that you would like me to do? I'm probably going to be doing a bunch of tag videos for my first videos just to see how that works and kind of feel my way in. But yeah, I really feel so out of place doing video. So how do you do this? And what would you like to hear from me? And number 14, what are you most excited for during this new fresh start on AuthorTube? The community. I don't know that I would have gotten my latest book, the book that I am currently writing to the point where it is, if it wasn't for the AuthorTube community. If it wasn't for the live write-ins, if it wasn't for just watching Kate Kavanaugh and Becca C. Smith and, so many people on here, it really helped me get through and made me feel less alone in the writing process. And like I said, I just kind of wanted to give back. If it wasn't for the live write-ins, I probably wouldn't have gotten nearly as much written as I have. And I want to be more a part of the community and less of a lurker. So yeah, I'm looking for a community because there's got to be somewhere I belong, right? Okay, well, that's all the questions, and I hope you found this interesting. I promise I will try to make my videos better. Hopefully my voice will get better and it won't sound like I'm a sick frog. But like I said, I just wanted to get started because the more I procrastinate, the less likely it is that I'm actually going to do this experiment. So if you liked this, I think I'm supposed to say this at the end, like and subscribe and hit that bell because I'm supposed to say that. If you want to know more of what I do a daily podcast called Project Shadow that you can find on pretty much every platform. You can find out more about that over at projectshadow.com as well as my other books and whatnot. Hi AuthorTube, I'm Charlie. Nice to meet you.